And we're
Hello.
live. Hello,
Welcome to
everyone.
Absolute Zero.
Wait, what?
Let's both talk at the same time.
Yeah, that's fun. So go ahead.
All right, it's Absolute Zero. I'm Rachel Appel.
I'm Bertrand Leroy. And today we are talking about electrical vehicles.
Yes.
And probably their impact on the environment and that sort of stuff. And we're talking about that because Tesla announced its Model 3 a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which triggered a lot of interest. They apparently have something like 300,000 reservations on it.
You'll be waiting for a while to get one.
Huh?
People will be waiting for a while to get that just for them to
especially because they've been producing something like 60,000 Model S's or something. So it's definitely an upscale move. They will have to scale up their means of production to achieve those numbers and deliver those cars within reasonable delays. Apparently, they were taken by surprise by how much interest there was.
There is a lot of interest. So I think Detroit is starting to turn their heads on this a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I was in a mall the morning that they opened the reservations, and the line in front of the Tesla shop was going all through the mall and outside.
Wow. Was that in the Bellevue Mall?
Yeah, there were, I don't know the exact number, but it looked like at least 1,000 people in line.
Holy crap. Yeah, I know where that store is. So that's a pretty long line.
Yeah.
So there's demand for this. And I think that's part of why most of Detroit's held off. But you need somebody to come in and do the disruption, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising, even if you like Tesla, because the price of oil is relatively low right now.
Right, and cars are expensive, a little, like comparatively to like a Ford or something, or the average car.
Yeah, if you compare, for example, Model S, which is available today, or Model X, and you wanted to have a car from BMW or Mercedes or Audi in that same class, well, in that same price range, more accurately, you would actually get a nicer car from those guys. But it's not an electrical vehicle. And if you're looking for something electrical that has a reasonable range, by that I mean the range more than 100 miles, then it's the only choice. There isn't anything else.
Right.
Except the Chevrolet Bolt. Is that available yet?
I didn't even really know that was a thing. So I think, Honda and Toyota.
I think it's supposed to have a range of something like 200 miles. And it's in the same price range that the Model 3 is going to be.
Okay.
So it's something like 77,000.
Are those entirely electric? So Tesla is entirely electric.
Yes, and that's a great point, actually. We should talk about hybrids.
Yeah.
Because hybrids are just super efficient internal combustion engine cars. They are 100% on oil.
Okay.
Because except plug-in hybrids, which do exist now, yes. But if you look at a Prius, for example, if you have a Prius, you're still running 100% on fossil fuels, because the battery is just there to get regenerative rate energy.
Okay.
So it stores that energy that is usually lost for future usage, but you're still using you're still burning gas.
Okay.
To power it. So it's not an electrical vehicle in any sense of the word.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the impact on the environment is still much lower than a regular car.
Yeah, because it consumes less gas because it's a lot more efficient. Um, so yeah, if you're looking for an electric vehicle, that Tesla is one of the only names that will give you that kind of range. But the Model 3 is getting a lot more press and a lot more interest, and Chevy's attempt at the exact same thing, which shows that Tesla has the kind of technological aura that a company like Apple has. When you buy an iPhone, you buy an iPhone. You don't just buy a phone. And arguably, you could get a better phone from another brand. But a lot of people are getting an iPhone because it's an iPhone, because it's an Apple. It seems like there is something similar with Tesla today.
Yeah, I hear you.
Um,
Interesting. So, are there any? Do you know if there's any giant differences between the engines, other than like obviously you have your gas versus electric? Is there any like stuff like core components that are going to be different between these cars?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about it is not just the switch to renewable energies. Potentially, we probably.
We got these better engines, better performing engines, maybe.
Well, the thing is, when you think about everything that's in an internal combustion engine car, there is a lot that you actually don't need with an EV. For instance, classic gasoline car is a lot more complex than an EV. You need transmission, you need gearboxes, you need the engine itself is extremely complex, and there are a lot of things that can fail. Whereas an electric car is basically an electric motor that was designed by Tesla a long time ago. It's the same principle at work here. It's the same design. A battery and a few things to coordinate things, and then you have direction that is something that you cannot avoid in a car. But that's pretty much it. It's very, very simple. It's like a car reduced to its essential elements. And that means that there are a lot fewer things that can go wrong.
I was going to say less trips to the auto shop.
Yes, and this is one of the things that is making the rest of the industry mad.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
They don't get all those oil changes because you don't need an oil change.
Oh, I know. I hate oil changes and stuff. I don't know anything about cars or,
The car industry is part selling cars and part selling maintenance.
Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? So, of course, the oil changes, all the maintenance that comes with that and everything.
Yeah, on an EV, you need to change the brake pads from time to time, but a lot less often than a regular car, because you have the regenerative brakes, which means that you're actually, when you slow down in an EV, you don't hit the brakes most of the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, you just hit the accelerator, and then the motor acts as a dynamo. It gathers energy from slowing down the car, and that goes back into the battery.
Interesting. Does it have like an anti-lock brake though, for when you have to like slam on the brakes or something, or
what?
When you're talking about this?
Well, you can still slam on the brakes, but you only do this when you really need to.
Well,
usually when you want to slow down, you just let go of the accelerator and it slows down.
When you slam on the brakes, is there like an anti-lock brake system that kicks in at that point?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, same as on any modern car.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So I didn't know Tesla actually had these batteries that long. You said they had them a long time. These are the motors, not the batteries.
What do you mean?
Electric motors.
Yeah, what I was saying is that Nikola Tesla invented the design for all those motors that are still in use today.
Okay.
Tesla, the company, has only been existing for
That's
just a
when I
few
meant
years.
like the Tesla company. I thought you were talking about them.
No. Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
I was talking about the famous inventor.
Okay, I forgot for a second. That's maybe where they got that from. So, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So I think we're going into like this new kind of era in, at least personal transportation, right? With self-driving cars and renewable energy cars. So I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of this. I think it's going to be very impactful for the environment, right? In many ways, and also, like you said, industry too, right? So you have all the, auto work and everything that goes into that on that side affecting it. But yeah, the impact of the environment. Do you have any idea? Have you looked into it, like how, if we were to replace like X amount of cars, how that can do like X amount of help or damage or neutral or what?
Yeah, so you can find those numbers out there, but it's actually one argument that people have been advancing against EVs, surprisingly, which is the you hear about the long pipe argument about EVs. So this is the idea that when you use an EV, your electricity still has to come from somewhere, right? And in a lot of places, electricity is still produced from coal. So you're still polluting. It's just that you have a very, very long tailpipe.
Yeah, you're just moving the solar stream.
That goes all the way to the factory.
Right.
So instead of burning fossil fuels in your car, you're burning fossil fuels the wrong way. So you don't notice it as much.
Right.
So your impact on the environment will vary depending on where you live and how you get your electricity.
Right. Well,
there are people who have solar panels on their house, for example, and who actually effectively have a solar powered car.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
But there are also some people who live in places where most of the electricity comes from coal, and that means that their cars run on coal.
My car runs on coal.
The interesting thing is that this is not a static thing. Whereas a gasoline car will always burn gasoline, will always burn fossil fuels, an electric car gets better as time goes by and as the infrastructure gets replaced and coal plants get replaced by more wind and solar and renewables.
Well, plus you're not just simply burning extra fossil fuels that you don't need to, even if coal is being burned back at the plant. There's that.
Well, there is also the argument that when you transport electricity, you actually have a lot of waste. There is about 30% of electricity that gets lost in power lines. So that's something to consider as well, which is more an argument for local energy production than it is an argument against EVs.
There's that also. If you calculate that long term, I kind of wonder what the numbers would look like on something.
But it's still beneficial. It's still hugely beneficial.
There
is no argument that an electrical vehicle is producing less than an internal combustion engine. No matter where you live, you're always positive on that balance sheet. It's just that you're more positive in some places.
Cool. So, are there any other big points about electric engines?
Yeah, there is an interesting point, which is that this is not the first time that EVs have been tried. If you look at the history of cars.
I think somebody did try it before. I remember it coming up in political discussion in the U.S. some time ago, like years back. And it just kind of fizzled out, and people blamed Detroit, and they said, well, it'll never happen.
Way before that,
which is very possibly true. People maybe didn't want it at the time. It was a while back.
Yeah, way before that, from the very beginning, when people were exploring cars weren't anything very popular. It was just something.
Right, there's that too. You go back far enough. Yeah.
Everything has been tried at the time. I mean, you had steam powered cars.
I was going to say, we tried steam as well for them. Yeah.
And electricity has been tried very early on. It's just that the internal combustion engine won because it was the fastest way to a long range, probably. And at the time, it was marginally more practical.
Right.
And it's been optimized to death. The cars that we have today are still running on pretty much the same principles as those primitive cars from the beginning, but they've been optimized so much that they are very, very efficient today. But still, the fact is you're still creating little explosions.
That's true. That's what the spark plugs do. That's one thing I know about the car. That's what the spark plugs do, right? Little tiny explosions.
Yeah, you cut out for a second here, but yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So.
Yeah, so you're creating, something like I don't know how many explosions per second. It must be of the same order of magnitude than the number of rotations per minute that you can see on your dashboard. So you're creating all those explosions very, very near from you.
Like the Mythbusters.
Yeah.
Theirs are bigger. They have much bigger explosion.
Yeah, those are small explosions, but still.
Tiny.
It sounds like a funky idea when you compare to,
right.
Having electrons going through wires and creating magnetic fields and having everything go. Oh, and there is noise too. EVs are silent.
They're very quiet. Even the hybrids are pretty quiet. So Rachel Reese has a Toyota, the Prius, and that one's pretty sneaky. Like you don't realize it's running half the time. So,
yeah, and
your car is quiet too. Your car is quiet too.
Yeah, when you stop at a red light, it just goes
go.
completely silent. And the same is true for hybrids. Yeah,
they're like ninja cars.
Yeah, you have to be careful on parking lots.
Yeah.
People don't hear you coming. And
I know. And then you're used to people hearing you, you drive up behind them and then you do, and then they don't hear you because you're both not used to the nice quiet car.
Yeah, and that's weird about the noise. I've heard people actually complain that EVs don't make noise because they like the vroom vroom.
That's so funny.
Seriously, people like that for some reason. It makes them feel powerful and.
Cargo from vroom. Yay.
But then they try a Tesla and step on the accelerator and it goes, and that's another sensation that.
Yeah. If anything, the Jetson car noise.
Yeah.
So you have to plug them in and charge them every night, I guess.
Well, it depends. It depends on the size of your commute.
All right. So let's say you do like a 20, 25-minute commute each way.
So if you have just a regular 110 volt outlet in your garage and you try to charge it with that, with something like a Model S, you will probably spend the night charging it. So they recommend that you install a high power 220 volt outlet, usually something like 40 amps with a dedicated circuit. That's an investment that you have to make on top of the car itself. Okay. But once you have that, a commute such as the one you mentioned would be probably a couple of hours of charge every night. And you can program those cars so that they only charge at a specified time. So you can wait for the favorable rates for electricity so that you pay even less.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you do have that extra cost up front because the vehicles are more expensive and you need that little bit of infrastructure in your home. Otherwise, you're going to charge in public places, but that's a hassle. But the advantage of that is that you never set foot in a gas station again.
Is that the only place that I don't mind gas stations is in Jersey, and that's really the only thing I don't mind about Jersey.
Because they're less expensive, or why?
No, because they pump your gas for you. It's the law.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I know. I love it there. Yeah. Pennsylvania, they make you do your own gas, and then we have happy little accidents here all the time with idiots who don't know how to pump gas. And
so do you tip the guy who fills your tank, or?
In Jersey, it depends. I don't think so.
It's for us Europeans. It's always the question: do you tip?
I know. Here in the U.S., yeah. No, not so much. I don't think gas station attendants. But,
yeah.
So.
But never going into a gas station ever in your life. Those smelly, dirty gas stations. That's part of. That's one of the benefits of owning an EV.
There's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we can maybe get off of oil one day.
Yeah. So, Model 3 is pretty attractive in many ways.
So there are other technologies for renewable energy to power vehicles that you know?
For cars?
Yeah, I heard about like a water car at some point, like a while.
Well, that's an abuse of language. It's not really a water car. So the other two types of cars I can think about are I think you can have compressed air cars.
Okay.
Where you fill a tank with compressed air. Yeah, and then you release that pressure, and that creates that's like your source of energy. Toy. What?
It's like a kid's toy.
Yeah, exactly. But apparently it's a thing. So I don't know that there are any practical cars that are based on that principle, but apparently it's a possibility. And then you have fuel cell cars.
Okay.
That are using hydrogen.
Oh, okay.
And that hydrogen is usually obtained by doing electrolysis on water. So you just separate the hydrogen from the oxygen in water, and you get hydrogen. The problem with this is that it's actually energetically not very efficient. Right. So you need to spend energy to split the hydrogen. So this is where your energy really comes from. And that is very wasteful, a very wasteful way of storing it. Well, not very wasteful way, but it's a relatively wasteful way of storing energy, storing it as hydrogen. So hydrogen is kind of scary because it explodes.
I was going to say, kind of.
You have a tank of hydrogen in your car that you then use to get energy to make the car advance. And what's nice about this is that what you get is water again. So you're doing the inverse reaction, not exactly the exact reverse reaction, but the end product is the same. You get water back. So this sounds environmentally friendly. The problem is that the energy density that you get in a hydrogen tank is actually lower at equal weight than batteries.
Well, again, with the wasteful byproducts too, sounds a little too wasteful for what you're getting.
No, that's not really the issue there.
Yeah. Okay.
I know it's really about energy density and about infrastructure, because those cars need hydrogen. So you need a source of hydrogen. You need it's like
that's your logistics problem. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the gas stations, except that you have gas stations everywhere. There are no hydrogen stations, or almost none.
I think I like the idea of a hydrogen station either.
Yeah, but it's probably not going to happen.
Right. But just saying, I don't.
And you won't have one at home.
Right. Right.
So electricity is a lot more practical and it's more efficient and so on, which is why I believe that the future is electric cars, not hydrogen cars. I think that's a dead end.
Magic. We need cars that run on magic.
Yeah, that would be great. And that thing about infrastructure, that's one of the other very smart things that Tesla did, which is to, for really long range where you need to go farther away than the range of the battery, you have those superchargers everywhere in the US and now more and more in Europe as well, that are usually between cities. They are not in cities because they are not supposed to be the way you charge your car every day. They are supposed to be the way you charge your car when you don't have enough batteries to go from one place to the other. So you stop at one of those, you plug it in for 20 minutes, an hour, and you get enough juice to finish your trip, or to go to the next supercharger.
They're going to locate those like right outside of major cities, right next to highway exits
and
entrances. So it's easy on, easy off.
Yeah. And that is really super smart because it removes all the range anxiety that lots of people have about EVs.
And that's a big anxiety. People road trip a lot. That's what you do in America.
Yes.
Vacation in the summer, you road trip. So.
Yeah, it's very important that you're not limited, that you don't have to stop for the night and charge the car.
It's an important American tradition to take children on long distances, just listening to Are We There Yet? Over and over for say 10 hours.
Yeah, straight. Absolutely. Yeah. And you can now go from the West Coast to the East Coast without any trouble with one of those cars. Thanks to
unless you go through Texas, because then you'll probably get pulled over.
Yeah, they don't like that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
This is not how we do it in America. Yeah. Yeah, so there is also the general resistance. So Tesla and other EV manufacturers are up against a lot of resistance. Mm-hmm. They have resistance from the oil industry, of course, that sees this as one more way that the world is switching to renewables, and that affects their business, as if they couldn't themselves switch to renewables. But
as if they shouldn't look at tobacco and see what's happening in that industry. But
and actually, to be fair, there are a few oil companies that are actually investing heavily in renewables, so they are not all blind, apparently. And the other resistance that they're facing is the rest of the auto industry that has a lot of know-how to create very efficient gasoline-powered cars. And the arrival of EVs means that they have to acquire a completely new expertise. And this is why a startup like Tesla can be better than those guys, because they are starting from scratch, which is an advantage in this case.
Yes, not only that, but then you start to get into issues like the car dealerships and distributorships in certain states, like I believe it was Jersey again.
Yes, so that's part of it.
Selling. So you have not just Detroit and the engineering principles at play here and the logistics there, but you also have like there's all kind of other barriers to this happening. But I like Joyce. I like that they have this. So.
Yeah, there is a lot of resistance, of legal resistance, where auto dealers try to have laws passed in states so that Tesla can't sell directly to customers, for example, and they're trying to force them to go through traditional dealerships.
Yep.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with science. It's just
nothing. But it's just a blocker to those things, though.
Yeah, which is a shame.
Non-science things that impede science, though.
Yes.
Or progress, in this case.
Yeah, so, another thing about Tesla that is interesting, that's again a thing that has nothing to do with science, but it's interesting nonetheless. It's the way, what Elon Musk calls the master plan. where he started with a very expensive Roadster. That was a very desirable car, but, you know, a sports car, a Roadster. That was a very sexy car, very fast, but very expensive too. And that's the first car that they shipped, and they probably sold something like maybe a couple thousand or something like that. I don't have the figures, but I've seen a few around here, but they're really rare. You don't see those every day. And then they started doing the Model S, which was more mass-produced. So the Roadster was not mass-produced. It was really almost artisanal production. Model S was mass-produced, so a little less expensive, but still an expensive car, but still very desirable. So they've been building that brand and that desirability, that Tesla factor that we were talking about earlier, where people want a Tesla because it's
becoming a status symbol. Yeah,
exactly. Like it's a status symbol. Yeah. And now they are moving to more affordable, mass-produced cars. And that is extremely smart because they've created that image, and this is what makes the more affordable model so desirable. It's not just that it's a technological marvel. It's a Tesla, and people want that.
Right. People don't buy things simply because it's a technological marvel. A couple of early adopters do.
Yeah.
And they probably all work in our industry already, you know. And then, so people want them for other reasons, right? The status, or, you know, they can save money on fuel or whatever the thing is not usually not just, hey, because they've applied science so well or something like that.
Yeah, so there is another aspect to this whole thing, which is batteries. How do you get batteries?
Yeah, so didn't they make like a standalone battery, or does that, I'm not sure if this has much to do with the car. I don't remember if it was.
Yes, it does actually.
For the car, or if it was just a battery for just having a giant battery. Because why wouldn't you want a giant battery?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Okay. That's actually interesting. So,
how big is it anyway?
Well, so the battery on a Model S varies between. So they don't make those anymore, but the first models had a 60 kilowatt-hour battery. So to give you an idea what a kilowatt-hour is, in case you don't visualize that, an incandescent bulb is usually something like 100 watts. Okay.
Right.
So you run that for an hour. You've consumed 100 watt hours.
Yep.
So 10 incandescent bulbs are a kilowatt hour if you run them for an hour. In those batteries, you can light those 10 bulbs for 85 hours if you have an 85 kilowatt hour battery. So the batteries on the Model S range from 60 to 90 kilowatt hours. So it's a big battery. It's heavy, and it can drive a car, such a heavy car, for more than 240 miles on a single charge. So that's a lot of energy.
That's a good 4+ hours of driving. That's a good 4+ hours of driving. Yeah. 5 probably.
Yeah. So it's a lot of energy, and there are some concerns with the fabrication of those batteries and the recycling of those batteries, and those are environmental concerns, of course. Right. So the batteries that they use, which are lithium-ion batteries, similar to the ones you have in your laptop, those are actually not so dirty to produce, but there is a recycling concern, and those Tesla batteries that you put on your wall are actually one of the ways you can address that. Because once the battery is not good anymore for the car when it starts aging, which should happen around 8 years after you bought the car, apparently. It's not good enough for the car, but it's still useful. It can still work. And apparently the intent that they have is to recycle some of those batteries into those home batteries that you can use. So let's talk about what they are for. So these are batteries that you buy, you put on a wall somewhere in your home. You fill them during the night when the electricity is cheapest, and then you use that electricity during the day when it's more expensive. And they are producing these for the home, and they also want to sell those to utilities, so that on a larger scale, it's a technology that really scales from the home to a whole factory. And the idea is also to store energy between the times when the energy is abundant and cheap and the times when the energy is rarer and more expensive. So for example, if you have a solar energy factory, you're only going to produce energy during the day, which is a huge problem. So you could store that energy into those batteries and then use that during the night. So this is one of the ways that apparently they want to recycle the car batteries.
Applied around the world, especially in more rural areas where they can use maybe some solar power with that to help them store a little bit more energy in poorer places as well.
Yeah, energy storage is a huge problem. It's a big part of the equation of producing energy on a massive scale. There are lots of energy sources that are not permanent. Wind is the same. You don't have wind all the time.
Right.
So storing is important, and it's also hard. It's very hard to store electricity,
right,
or energy in general.
So Tesla's doing it.
Yeah, and another important aspect of the battery problem is that when you produce hundreds of thousands of cars per year, like they want to do with the Model 3, you have to find enough batteries. And in fact, the batteries that you would need to do that would be more than the batteries that we produce today.
Okay.
So the way they're addressing that problem is that they're building their own battery factory.
Oh, okay.
And they call that the Gigafactory. Okay. And it's a $5 billion project, apparently. It's in Nevada, so it's in the US. It will employ 6,500 people. And it's going to double the world's production of batteries.
Wow. That's
just that factory
number. That is impressive.
Yeah.
Wow. Did they say by when?
I think it's scheduled to open this year, actually. Wow. See, right in time for the Model 3.
This is perfect. Wow.
Yeah. Those guys have really thought hard about what they're doing.
Yes, they have.
Yeah, so Elon Musk revealed the master plan that we talked about in 2006. So he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, he's a smart man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool.
That's electric vehicles.
About electric-powered vehicles?
Sorry, what?
Anything else about them we should know?
Yeah, a lot of the things that we talked about today actually come from an article from Wait But Why. Do you know that website?
Mm-hmm.
Wait But Why. It's a blog, and it's very, very interesting. The guy who produces this blog, each of his blog posts is like a small book. Okay. It's pages and pages long. It's very, very detailed. It really goes into all the nitty-gritty details, and he justifies everything he's talking about. The blog is called Wait But Why, because apparently that's how he looks at every problem. He goes, wait,
Right.
but why?
Why?
And then he digs and digs and digs until.
See how Tesla will change the world.
Yeah,
Post in here. Oh gosh, it is
Yes.
long, like you said.
It
Oh,
is
there's
long.
Animation, stick figures.
Yeah,
there.
lots of infographics, lots of stuff. It's very, very informative. And there is a map, for example, here that I'm looking at, which gives you so he didn't come up with that infographic. It comes from ucsusa.org. But this shows the equivalent in miles per gallon per state in the United States that you would get from an electrical vehicle. So, for example, in Washington State, you'll get something like 75 miles per gallon, which is pretty good. But in some states, it falls down to 34 miles per gallon, which is not bad, but still not quite as good. And
like LA or New York, where traffic is ridiculous, and
New York is not so bad actually on that map. It's yeah.
Oh, they're probably taking account of the whole state, which is not bad.
Yeah. And actually, it goes up to the place where it's the highest is 112 miles per gallon. And this is actually New York, upper state.
Upper state, okay.
Yeah. New York City apparently is 94, which is not bad.
I'm
not bad at all.
That amount, even.
Yeah, and that's based on this is the equivalent of emissions. This is if you had an equivalent gasoline car, how much emissions would you produce based on where you get your electricity from? Yeah, and that blog post is awesome. It's really everything you need to know or don't need to know about EVs and Tesla, and he also has a post about SpaceX. And what's interesting is that he's actually met with Elon Musk to prepare those blog posts.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's Elon Musk who contacted him, and he was apparently a fan of the blog, and he asked him if he would like to do some posts about Tesla and SpaceX. And the guy went, okay. Yeah, so we'll put the link to that in the description. Cool. I don't know how much time we've.
I got like 7 minutes left. Am I gonna?
Well, we can stop here, I suppose.
That's fine.
Cool.
Nice. So another episode
of Absolute Zero. And we'll see you people next time, whenever that is.
See you then.
Bye, everyone.